I didn't do a lot of pre-thought about this discussion of breath talk. I just knew that it had to be done. Of course, that's usually what happens, right? I just get the title of couch talk and then I seem to download what it's going to be about. So the discussion today around breath, first of all, nothing's more important than breathing, right? Nothing is more important than breathing. It's not an overstatement to say that breath is life. And right now, breathing is, with true conscious awareness, is pretty much paramount to all aspects of our being. Every level, physical, emotional, spiritual, right? Our health, our growth. To know that we take a breath and to know how powerful that is. That if we stop breathing, we're dead. We're not here anymore. And that's okay. Maybe we'll be transitioned energy, fine. But in the meantime, if I don't breathe in my human state, I will not be here anymore. And I want to be appreciative of that, more appreciative every day of taking the breaths that I take. A couple of weeks ago, we did the COVID-19 couch talk. And we know that it's a time of shared awakening and increasing wisdom on a really global scale, okay? Given its focus on breath, on the fact that the respiratory system is the most severely impacted by this virus, I think we need to look at why that's true. So I'm going to share with you what's recently happened. Julie, of course, knows because she's part of it, and Suzanne, I think you know. A few weeks ago, I was supposed to have eye surgery, cataract surgery, and I went in for my COVID test, and when they called me to tell me the surgery had been canceled because my test was positive. And Julie and I freaked out. I, in particular, freaked out. I burst into tears. I told the doctor that that wasn't possible, that I had been isolated and that it wasn't possible. And she said, well, it is possible. And the public health people called and they went through this whole thing, and I have to be quarantined, and my surgeries are both canceled. And then Julie had to be quarantined because she's here. And I had not had any symptoms. Julie had, a few days later, got some sort of virus. So we didn't know if she had it. We didn't know how to deal with the information, frankly. We didn't know how to deal with it. Do I call everyone I know and tell them? Because maybe I breathed over the phone to them, right? I mean, I didn't know what to do. I had gotten my hair cut after 8 months or 7 months. And I was freaked out. Maybe I gave it to them. Maybe they gave it to me. But I had been so few places and done so few things and always worn a mask and always taken care that I was really shocked and appalled. And then I thought, I want to tell people because I want them to be careful. If this could happen to me, it could happen to anyone, given how careful I've been. So we really hung in there. We're really looking at all parts of it, trying to be supportive of each other and trying to just be in it and deal with it. And I also didn't want my family to know because I didn't want them to be freaking out, which they would have been. They would have been calling all the time. Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you okay? You know, my mother in particular. And we couldn't handle that, and I didn't want her to worry. So this went on for quite a while. It was just about 2 weeks of my quarantine when public health called and told me, the nurse said, this has never happened before, but the reagent that they test the sample with was bad. That was her word, bad. And so it was a false positive. And I just said, I don't believe this. And she said, I know, it's never happened before. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, in the meantime, we'd both been quarantined, and Julie had just had a COVID test and she was negative. But we lived through this very bizarre time. And after doing the COVID couch talk, right, I was so aware of how my own reactions. It was a time of deep introspection for me. It was a time of asking myself what's coming up around getting this horrible disease, and the fact that I might have infected my sister, and the fact that I could die at any moment. And I went to self-blame, and I went to, what had I done? What hadn't I done? What didn't I do right? Did the fact that I finally got my haircut cause this to happen? And I guess there were so many questions, and focusing on being in alignment was what got me through it, along with the support of my sister. And I started to ask myself, why are certain people affected and others not? Is it just science? Because I didn't touch a certain box in the supermarket and you did, because I wore a mask and you didn't, because someone aspirated a foot too close to me as he walked by in the post office and a molecule got in my lungs. I mean, on a spiritual level, there's got to be so much more to it. And as spiritual and physical beings, we need to look at the realities of both aspects in order to go about our lives and keep breathing and keep breathing. So, as we all know, the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, governs the mouth and the tongue and the neck and the lungs and communication, our ability to understand and speak our inner truth, and with purity, with authenticity, which is exactly what we've been talking about. So when we're out of balance relative to any level of truth, whether we deny the truth to ourselves, whether we lie to others, whether we live a life that's inauthentic, in other words, if we have difficulty staying true to ourselves, if we have difficulty staying true to our need and our desire to express our needs, and our desire to express our desires and our opinions with ourselves and others, our fifth chakra is affected, and I believe can be radically put at risk. So that's one reason, and I feel the authentic relating that Julie and I have been practicing has really helped my approach. It's very similar to the vacationing angel approach, but it focuses on slightly different, some words, some ways, some tools that are really helpful. But it's about altering the trend in humankind where we do what other people think we should do, or we do whatever we want with total disregard of and for others. And the trend toward polarization between taking care of ourselves, speaking our truth, and living our truth, whatever that is and whatever it looks like, and caring only what other think of us, you know, there's extremes there. Neither one is appropriate. Well, that's not true. Finding our truth is appropriate, but that doesn't mean it's selfish. It means that we're guided by an authenticity that naturally leads us to caring about other people, that naturally guides us into this sense of connectivity, as we were discussing. So it just feels so strong to me that it caring for each other and the connection that's born out of that knowledge of communicating authentically is the key, not only to a happier life for each of us, but as individuals, but sustaining life for all humanity. And the more I felt the vibration of that, the better it felt. So I started to ask myself again, what do we need to ask ourselves relative to this virus? Why this virus? Why COVID-19, whose naming means shared wisdom and awakening? Why does that affect the lungs so significantly? And I believe it is because we've been so shut down that we have societally, culturally, our parents, our families, our loved ones, you know, relative to speaking our truth. No, you're not right. No, you shouldn't have your emotions. No, this isn't good. And allowing those fears to be integrated into our existence, we become really confused about who we are, about why we're here. What does it mean to be spiritual? A lot of people hear that word, assume it means religious. Some people confuse it when I talk about vacationing angels because they think it means biblical angels, angelic. And it doesn't mean that in that sense at all. So encompassing in authenticity and speaking our truth in that way, it invites us to let go of some of those mores, to let go of some of the confusion. And automatically when we do that, it is like taking a breath. It's like, okay, it feels so good. It feels so much better than that state of worry and fear and anxiety and concern that we're not doing it right. And when we breathe, it feels good. And I just don't believe that the virus is choosing this time to affect us in this way. You know, we've spent many generations getting to this point of total disconnectedness where people are that polarized, this extreme on the spectrum. And it's time for us to do exactly what Hubbard, you know, Houston, all these people are talking about, that we are talking about right here today, that it's about reconnecting. Reconnecting with truth reconnects us to humanity. Hurting you hurts me. There's more to life than power and money and success. As society may describe it, we may not agree with them, but that's what we're usually taught, shown, advised, all those things. So the question becomes, who are you? I have the sense that the more connected to truth that we are, the more likely we are to stay healthy. The less likely we are to be affected by the virus. So please understand when I say this, it doesn't mean that if you consider yourself spiritual or you go around aligned all the time, you can throw your mask away. I'm not saying that. I do feel that it means that this is the chakra at this moment in time that is requesting, it's more than requesting, it's demanding our attention, and it wants us to literally clear our throats, speak up, speak clearly, speak without equivocation, speak with passion, speak with a sense of purpose that is inclusive and consistently pervasive. In other words, to let our whole system be infused with that truth. And I believe that some of us are more susceptible than others on the spectrum of what we consider truth-telling. So I know this might sound odd, but this is what came up for me, so I will share it with you. Let's say you're a white supremacist surrounded by people who have COVID, okay? And you don't contract it. What does that say about you? Does it say that your immune system is better than everyone else's? Maybe. Could it mean that your fifth chakra is more in balance? And how could that be? How could someone with values like that have a balanced fifth chakra? I couldn't wrap my mind around that. So perhaps we need to look at how deeply one's truth is felt by the individual, him or herself. Maybe this person never felt the need to hide his anger or hold his tongue. It's hard to believe that someone who was brought up or indoctrinated in that way into such a lifestyle would be balanced in any part of his being. But it's possible that he expresses so much of what he feels, even if it's hate and anger, that his throat and lungs are not affected. Obviously, this is simply speculation and a simplification on my part, right? But what I do know is that the virus, speaking to Elba's point again, is an energetic entity. It's energy. And it has an energetic match to certain individuals' energetic patterns. It doesn't necessarily mean that we can just snap our fingers and say, my energy is not aligned with that energy. There is some fear. There is some concern. Things do come up. We are not immune to that. But isn't it interesting that these kinds of words relate not only to immunity, right? We're talking about being immune to a sensation and an idea of the reality as people see it in the world, the scientists. And then immunity is the whole key to health. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this and continue our discussion a little bit. I do not have a guided meditation. I really felt compelled to share this with you more than anything. If it's okay with you guys, though, I would like to play a little to sort of, what are they telling me? Yeah, sort of just as a lifting of spirit energy, a lifting of any heaviness, whatever form that has taken for you. It's not negativity. It's not bad. It's none of that. It's just saying, let's lift it. You know, we talked about a couple weeks ago, right? The difference between talking about higher and lower frequencies. This idea of something being higher is better, lower being worse. Let's not go there. But a lifting is a sense of just a cloud. It's a lifting of I don't know, maybe lifting isn't the right word, because lifting implies that higher sense. And this is not that. It's a freeing. It's a freeing up of. That's what it is. Yeah. So that's what this music is for. And we'll just see where it leads us. Okay, I'm going to change the sound so that we hear it. Hopefully you'll all hear it. It's cold. I suggest you close your eyes during this because it's a good thing to do. I'm going to keep on the video because I'm being asked to do that, but it always helps. Okay. That was amazing, wasn't it? Something really happened there.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Woo.
It was something. It was really intense. Yeah, I'm cold and I'm hot, right? That's always key. I'm going to pick a card from the spirit world. Huh. Number 25, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Who said what? Oh, I thought someone said something. Call in the energy of support, which I think is a beautiful message right now, because I sure feel like I need to call in the energy of support, to remind myself that I am not alone, that we are not alone, that when I don't know what to do, and this happened to me yesterday, I was in an uncomfortable situation and I reminded myself vehemently that if I didn't know what to do as a human, my spirit team was on it. And it gave me some solace. And it removed me from, I'm Heidi, having an anxiety attack to, I'm okay. That's my human side. It's energy, as Elba always says, and I appreciate so much. And that I is just I, my ego. There is so much more to me, and I have a team, and I can rely on them. And they're not going to put me in a situation that's going to hurt me. They're not going to do that to me. They are there to remind me that the situation is not what will hurt me. My interpretation and my reaction and response to the situation may hurt me. That part is on me. That part is on the human side. And I believe that's really what the message today is all about. I'm not going to go out without a mask, you guys. Okay, that's not going to happen. But I'm also really spending my time, my conscious time, in awareness of all that has been said. That's what really is guiding me through it. Because we don't know how long this process is going to be, or if it will ever end, or, you know, humanity may end. But as long as Heidi's here, this is what Heidi's doing. This is the way I'm coping. Anyway, I would love to hear from you guys.
That was beautiful.
Thanks. Thank you. What, Victoria? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, it was beautiful, and since I had turned everything off and did myself, I sang along with you, part of it, and that felt really good. That felt very freeing to my throat chakra.
Oh, how beautiful is that?
Yeah. And I thought too about how when you get a report from somebody saying there's something wrong with you, what does that do to you? You know, how much what do you do with that? What do you do?
What do you do with that? And that's part of the reason a couple of weeks ago I started talking about that idea of higher and lower being good and bad, positive and negative. Usually positive is a positive thing and negative is a negative. But in the medical field, all of a sudden you're supposed to change it, right? On a dime, you're supposed to say negative is good and positive is bad. And your very vibration can't handle it. It doesn't handle it. It may be able to, but it doesn't, because it goes against your grain. Everything you know in the world tells you that positive is good. Except that. Now positive is really bad. If you have a positive test, it's bad. When has it ever been bad? So Julie and I, just been talking a lot about this, because that's what came up, Victoria. That's exactly what came up. What do you do with it? And do you want to share it? I didn't want to put it out in the world. We agreed. We don't want this out in the world. We don't want to scare other people. We don't want to be victims. And yet you have to deal with it. So the fact that, and my sister Nancy was great, because being a scientist, when we finally told her after we got the news that it was negative, she said, "Why didn't you tell me?" And that's exactly why, because we didn't want people to worry. But she said 1 out of every 100 in a study is a false positive. Now, the public health team told me that false positives, see there? I can't even say it. False positives are pretty much unheard of. And Nancy was saying, no, that's not true. Every study, 1 out of 100 can be a false positive. So right there and then, if someone had said that to me, I might have said, well, maybe I'm 1 in 100 because I had no symptoms. But I didn't go there. I assumed that I was being told the truth. So here again, we have science on the one hand that we need to listen to and respect. because clearly that's at the basis of spreading a disease. But we have to look at the spiritual aspects of this deeply within ourselves to stay present for whatever happens and whatever comes up around it. I'm doing more of the talking. I wanted to hear from you and I'm just going off. So please.
There's some feedback going on.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Mine-
How's that?
Like, yeah,
Is that
that's
better? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, and this is now, Elba, you have to remind me about that too.
Okay.
Because when I play music, I have to turn on this special thing that changes the sound. So sorry, I forgot to turn it off. Thank you for that.
I have to jump in, even though you live with me. I'm feeling very chatty today.
Good, 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 good.
And there's this whole other context and level when you look at the term false positive in this environment of all these lies and all these conspiracy theories and the whole idea of questioning truth. When am I being true to myself? When am I being in integrity, in alignment? Just to myself, let alone to people I know, to strangers.
Yes.
You know, what does that truth look like in this era of binary thinking?
I love that you brought that up, Julie, because it's true, that false positive. I mean, isn't that what we're getting in
And I'm a researcher, right?
Yeah.
So I can't let this go. Statistically, especially since it isn't a random sample, right, of the people who are getting tested. So there's that whole issue of the pool of, anyway.
Yeah.
Statistically, there's always false positives.
Yeah.
Just have to say that.
Yeah. Well, exactly. But then to say, well, I'm probably that one, you can't even do that because you have to believe it's true. You have to quarantine. You have to listen to them. You're waiting every minute for a symptom. Every second you're waiting for a symptom. I mean, every time Julie had a sore throat for 2 weeks and we were like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And we couldn't help it. And we were good, you guys. We really did a good job of keeping it together. But those are the things that you do. And then you question, you really do go to that place of, I'm supposed to be spiritually connected. I'm supposed to be, you know, why would I get it? Right? Like, I'm a bad person if I get sick. What did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And none of that really helps. None of that helps. Yeah, Victoria? No, you're just, okay.
So one of the things that I saw, this really spoke to me yesterday. It was at the pool, the swimming pool, and it says, tell yourself the truth and the rest will fall into place.
Nice.
And I mean, that really, we're talking about truth here today. And so there's definitely a theme going on for me showing up here.
It's always that way too, because everything that you guys have said has been part of what's been going on and part of what's been going on for you, not just us. And one of the very first guided meditations we did months ago was Truth Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a theme that's not going away. That's why I love that. You remember that ad about faux pearls? Faux being the word for French. Well, it was on, maybe it was on the East Coast, not out here. I don't know. But for years, Randy and I used to laugh at this because there was a guy selling faux pearls. So they were real faux pearls. And that's what he'd say. Real 100% faux pearls. And we would just laugh and laugh and laugh. And how people believe what they believe. And that's it, you guys. That's why we have to know our own truth. That's
I'd
all
like
there
to
is.
jump in.
Yes, please.
Well, when you were talking about,
using our authentic voice and speaking our truth, I think it is a broader application than just COVID. I think that being true to yourself, speaking your truth, and being authentic actually can strengthen your immune system overall, not just protect you from the one big bad bugaboo that's out there right now.
Absolutely, positively. I couldn't agree with you more.
But it's a learned skill. And I think that there's a lot of humorous memes about when women get old, they don't give a fuck anymore what anybody thinks, and they just speak their truth. And, you know, I do see that happening around me, that people cease to be people pleasers as they age.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right.
And I guess that's why the music, you know, this whole idea of freeing up just responds to that, and supports it, Lynn, because to feel that freedom to express, right? It does strengthen who you, it does. It's so powerful to say what you mean and be okay with it. And you can just feel your own immune system getting stronger versus weaker. When you fight with yourself, you just don't feel good. And there's a weakening, a sensation of, well, for me, it comes up as anxiety usually.
Well, I actually think that we're unconscious of it. For at least when I was younger, I was just unconscious of trying to say and do the right thing, rather than speak up for myself and say, this isn't working for me.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I mean, I couldn't say that. I wasn't given any opportunity or encouragement to say that, but at the same time, I was pretty conscious that I wasn't. And that just followed me through my life. And it just got, you know, it gets more and more burdensome until you do have breakdowns, until you do see people falling apart, until I fell apart or people get depressed. I mean, it's good to be older and wiser a little bit, doesn't it?
I don't know if I'm any wiser. And, you know,
maybe a little then.
I think when I come into these things and I see how you call us visiting angels, and I'm like, I'm no angel.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, Lynn, but you are a vacation angel. We are all. It doesn't feel like that necessarily. We are not, we don't feel like angels when we're human. But from their perspective, we are definitely angelic. And Randy said in the meditation once that Jesus washed his feet. And Jesus said, angels wash our feet. Because we are the ones who agreed to come down here in physical form and deal with all this stuff. And that was so powerful for me. I mean, not being a Jesus person and not being someone who had raised with that, I just appreciated the metaphor really hugely.
That reminds me of something else, and I apologize if I'm going off topic a little bit, but I remember hearing once very early on in my spiritual practice that ours is a bridge generation. We grew up post-World War II in the happy days. That was our reality, living through the 60s and the music in the 70s and everything, all the way to where we feel like we're on this bridge of some kind of a major shift. And for our children and children's children, I don't know what they're facing as the planet runs out of resources and overheats. And if we live long enough to see that come to pass, we will have bridged this time in the history of our species that has seen both ends of this overwhelming planetary shift.
I like the metaphor of the bridge too, because I remember driving over one of the bridges here. I had to do a workshop in Florence. And when I left the next morning, it was really foggy. so foggy that I couldn't see the bridge when I went to drive over. I couldn't even see the bridge and I couldn't see the road. And I just thought, what am I going to do? Just stop here? I didn't know what to do. And I just said, Heidi, this is just a metaphor for everything in life. You have to trust that there's a bridge there, and you have to trust that you can go across it, even though you don't see what's on the other side. And I often think of that moment. It was very foggy, and I believed, I had the faith. And sometimes that's just what it comes down to, really, in a nutshell. It feels to me like we're complete.
I have a little request. Could you
Yes,
pull a card?
absolutely. For you specifically?
Yes.
Absolutely. This energy is for Elba. 39, balance. We have never let you down.
When I got today, my balance card.
Oh, you did? Your soul collage card? Nice.
Yeah.
That's what it's, now we talked a lot about that today. So I think it was also a message for all of us. But the message I'm getting for you, Elba, this is your father's mother. And did you know your father's mother?
No.
She was very, she's shaking her finger like she was stern. And she's sort of saying to you, not in a mean way, sometimes you're hard on yourself. And she's basically saying she really appreciates that you're starting to enjoy your life more and that you're starting to see things for what they are and not judge them. But she's kind of there to keep you in line with that, which is interesting. Do you know her name?
Not off the top.
Well, if you can find out, it would be good because it might help you to talk to her.
Yeah, I have it in one of the Bibles.
Yeah, check it out. Oh, and that's Julie. Yesterday when we were driving around, there's a town in east of here called Dora, and that was Granny Ratner's name, and that struck me because I've never really spoken to her as spirit, and I don't think of her all that often. But I thought, that's not a common name, Dora, anymore. Well, there's Dora the Explorer, but other than that. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that to you and forgot. Does anyone else like a card? Would anyone else like a card?
I'd like it.
Okay, Lynn. This is for Lynn, spirits, angels, Randy. Excellence, number 13. Money can come from anywhere.
Wow.
That's interesting. That's interesting because, well, given our relationship, that's more than this class. That's an interesting card to pull. And the message is about from your mother's side of the family, as your mother's side of the family, your mother's mother, again, grandmother, and there's a legacy of worrying about money. And it's really not yours, Lynn. Like your concerns when they come up are really not your own. You got them in your DNA, and you can really set them aside. You don't need them anymore. And there's the encouragement to do that.
All right.
And I don't mean that to sound easy, but the next card that just fell out of the deck is trust.
Okay, good.
Yeah, nice.
Nice, yeah.
Anybody else want a card? V, okay. Message for Victoria, please. You got 2 cards, V. Number 20 is perfection. No. That's the message of perfection, no. And the other one is number 21, creativity, keep breathing. So the message, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this really speaks to what you were dealing with today. You know, the creative side of you that has fear of not being acknowledged. And the perfection is that that's not true. The perfection is that you were aware of that fact, that it's not true, that your belief and awareness is what really matters. Your creativity is what matters to yourself. And that's how you keep breathing. And we keep breathing, this authenticity. I mean, creativity and perfection, I mean, and breathing, right? What could be more perfect? Yay. We're so good, you guys. We are so good. You're so awesome. I love you all.
Love you.
I have a little announcement if anyone is interested. There's a Zoom tonight with the Coos County Democratic Party starting at 10 o'clock. If anybody's interested in the link, I can email it to you.
Okay, wonderful. Why don't you email it to me, and then if anyone wants it, I can send it along. Also, oh, look how dark it's getting. I'm very woozy looking. Again, LaDonna, who comes sometimes, is doing a cultural summit with her organization in Minneapolis, in St. Paul. And we're doing a workshop on November 13th. So it's going to be just 40 minutes, but it's part of a bigger cultural summit. And I'm going to send out a general announcement of it again, so you can link up. I think it's free, but I don't even know. But it will be really fascinating. There are going to be lots of different kinds of healers and interesting people from the community participating. And she specifically said today that you are all absolutely invited. She would love people from Oregon to show up and be present. So
awesome.
I will send that out. Yeah.
Hey, Heidi, which day?
It's November 13th. 13th of November, and my workshop is 9:30 a.m. with her, but it's going to go on for several days, I believe. But I'll send the link out.
9:30 Pacific time?
Yes, it's 11:30 CT. So
okay,
and that's just my little workshop. And you know, I'm only playing some flute. It's not going to be a big deal with me as a star. But I think it will be very
flute.
What?
I'm only playing some flute.
Yeah, thank you, Elba. It's not 40 minutes of Heidi time, and that's good. It's perfect for what it is, and I'm really excited about participating in it because, again, I think it's going to be really wonderful. So I'll send that out to you, and that's it for today, you guys.
Okay, love you.
I love you, love you, love
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome.